Hello, good morning, good evening, good afternoon on this fine planet, wherever you may be. And today, I want to talk about some funny stuff because everybody online is just is batshit crazy, and I'm tired of it. So I like talking about funny things, and I would like to talk about a comedy movie that is so damn funny. I revisited it recently. That movie is BASEketball. BASEketball is a sports comedy film directed by David Zucker, known for his work on Airplane and the Naked Gun series. The film stars Trey Parker and Matt Stone, the creators of South Park, in their first major live-action roles. BASEketball blends absurd humor with social satire, parodying sports culture and American consumerism. The movie combines elements of basketball and baseball to create a new fictional sport, leading to hilarious, over-the-top competitions. First saw this movie probably in like '98, and it was one of those movies that just were thrown on rotation like all the time. There was like that, their other movie, Orgasmo, which I really actually wanted to cover Orgasmo, but I wouldn't be able to show any clips from it because like 90% of that movie is just a... But it was like BASEketball, My Cousin Vinny, Private Parts. Those movies were just on rotation in like middle school, high school. The thing that got me so interested in this movie was knowing that it was the dudes from South Park who are in this movie. Because if you didn't know, which I will cover once I get the damn Blu-ray of it, first ever release of a Blu-ray, Cannibal the Musical, I'll totally cover that movie because that movie's awesome. It was Matt and Trey's like college thesis film type of thing that wound up getting like, this thing's bothering me, that wound up getting attention and found a home on video and all that stuff. But we'll talk about that once I get the Blu-ray of it and it's released, yada yada. But for now, let's talk about BASEketball. The movie follows two childhood friends, Joe Cooper and Doug Remer, who invent a new sport called BASEketball, a mashup of baseball and basketball played in their driveway. The sport quickly gains popularity and becomes a national sensation. The two friends form a professional team, the Milwaukee Bears, but their success is threatened by the greed and commercialization of the sport. They must navigate the corrupt world of professional sports, maintain their friendship, and save the integrity of their game from being exploited. So South Park came out in 1997 via Comedy Central, and I guess that once that kind of blew up, Matt Stone and Trey Parker gained a lot of heat in the studio world, and that's why it's very, we'll talk about, well, I'm jumping ahead. The film satires the commercialization of sports, including endorsements, media hype, and the obsession with merchandising. It mocks how athletes and sports leagues often prioritize profit over the purity of the game. So as I mentioned on other episodes, but I know YouTube's kind of just like, act like it's the first time someone's watching it. So acting like it's the first time you're watching it because, the same amount of people just watch this anyway, which I respect, I love, thank you. I do this out of the boredom of my heart. It's not even 8 o'clock in the morning, and I was just like, I wanna record this. I wanna do something. I wanna be creative after one cup of coffee. It's gonna be one of those days, ladies and germs. So I come from a small town, Sicklerville, just right outside of Sicklerville, New Jersey, that is. And it's like 20 minutes away from Philadelphia. So it wasn't close really to, it was close to New York, but it wasn't close to New York. But everybody in my family and friends, if it came to sports, it was all about, gotta be, the Philadelphia Phillies, the Flyers, the 76ers, which Philly fans are probably gonna get shit for saying this, but they're the most aggressive fans on this damn planet. They just get angry whenever their team loses. And I'm just like, what do you guys have stock in this team? Every Sunday is football. It's football. And I just don't give a shit for that. I grew up in a household that was mainly like music and movies type of stuff and not really sports. My dad would actually watch a sports game to know if my friend Matt was going to get grounded for the week or not. I shit you not. Anyway, so I don't really get into sports. So that's why I kind of enjoy watching this movie because it does kind of poke at that. It pokes at how, people just profit off of a sports team and the shit that they do to go around to be so dedicated to a sport. And look, I can't say shit because at its core, BASEketball is a buddy comedy about Coop and Remer's friendship. The film explores themes of loyalty, trust, and rivalry as their relationship is tested by fame and success. Let's also talk about, who is it? Jenny McCarthy? Is it Jenny McCarthy or Yasmin Bleeth? Hold on. Be right back. Yeah, they're tested. It's Jenna McCarthy. And Jenna McCarthy, yeah, she comes in kind of as like the villain girl, you know, takes away the guys and stuff. And also, I mean, Yasmin Blees in it too. I mean, once again, these are just like 90s bombshells, you know what I mean? The humor is rooted in absurdity, slapstick, and crude jokes characteristic of Zucker's previous films and Parker and Stone's comedic style. Once I realized that David Zucker directed this movie and he also had a hand in writing it, Matt Stone and Trey Parker did not have any association of the writing process. I mean, maybe as ghostwriters, and I'm sure that they maybe have like improvised a lot of stuff. But David Zucker, like he did Airplane, he did Top Secret. He's done like these classic spoof type movies. But let's talk about the rare trivia that is in BASEketball from 1998. Parker and Stone initially had no plans to star in a live-action film. They were approached by David Zucker after the success of South Park, and despite their hesitation, they agreed to star as a break from the intense production of the animated series. However, they often joke that they only accepted the roles because they were paid well and got to work together. Parker and Stone were in the middle of working on South Park while filming BASEketball. They would often arrive on set in character as Cartman or other South Park characters, which entertained the crew but annoyed some of the other actors. They even wrote episodes of South Park during downtime on the set. I haven't watched old school episodes of South Park in a very long time, but I try to keep up because now they have like that crazy deal on Paramount Plus. So like they mainly make movies over seasons. Sometimes I just don't want to watch, you know, a 90-minute movie on what's going on in this world, which I do love that South Park does because they'll take like a current topic, and that's what they're just so crazy for nowadays is that they'll grab a topic of the week, literally film and make that episode within a week, and then turn it in like sometimes hours before it even like airs. There's a great documentary, I think it's on Hulu right now. It's called 6 Days to Air, and it's literally like the process of making an episode at the South Park studios. It's intense, it's crazy, and I love it. The film features numerous cameos from real sports figures, including Reggie Jackson, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and Bob Costas. Bob Costas and Al Michaels, both respected sports commentators, hilariously played exaggerated versions of themselves, delivering deadpan lines that poke fun at their own personas. The idea for BASEketball came from a real game that David Zucker and his friends played in their driveway, mixing elements of baseball and basketball. Zucker decided to incorporate it into a film when he realized how naturally it fit into the world of absurd sports comedies. So I wasn't really raised on sports, but I did play baseball a whole lot when I was a kid. I was actually pretty good at it too, I'm not gonna lie. Being left-handed is an advantage in baseball. And I remember my high school gym teacher really wanted me to play baseball for the high school team. I was like, nah, I'm good. I'm too cool for that. Smoke cigarettes behind the wall. And also it was like the same gym teacher that like when there was like track days that like I would never get dressed because I was just like, F this, I don't care. Around track days, this same gym teacher would like point out all the hot girls. Like, terrible. I'll watch a sports movie. I get so behind that. I'll go to a sports event and have a blast. And to sometimes be a dick, I'll root for the opposite team. That pisses so many people off. Universal Studios expected a typical David Zucker comedy, but Parker and Stone brought their irreverent, edgy humor from South Park into the project. This resulted in a film that was cruder and more explicit than the studio had anticipated, causing some tension during production and marketing. That's what makes Matt Stone and Trey Parker. Also, again, at this time, this was like right when South Park was happening. So they weren't who they are today. They weren't worth 100, what was their deal? I think their Paramount Plus deal was like $900 million. So it's just like, clearly. And also this is why I love Matt Stone and Trey Parker so much, because they're part of, and maybe they're not technically not politically correct, but they make content that is not politically correct. And my whole downside with comedy movies, I love comedies. I love comedy movies so much, but a comedy movie hasn't been a good comedy and I couldn't tell you how long, and that's why they don't really make comedy movies nowadays, because they don't make money. I think the last comedy movie that I saw that was a little raunchy, it was trying to be different from the norm, was maybe that Jennifer Lawrence movie. I'm drawing a blank on what it was called, and it wasn't terrible, but those were the type of comedies that I grew up on. But it's a shame that the generation below me aren't really getting those comedies that we got growing up. BASEketball, Billy Madison, Happy Gilmore. I mean, even just movies like Knocked Up, Superbad, The 40-Year-Old Virgin, those movies would not be made today because of our climate that everybody is just super gets offended and blah, blah, blah. But whatever, I'm going on a tangent here and I don't really care. This is my preference in movies and you may have your own preference, and that's great. I love that. You know, I'm not going to be mad if someone has a preference of what their comedy is funny to them, and I love that for them. But let's get real. They're not making comedy movies because nobody likes to be offended. I go to stand-up comedy shows all the time, and what do? They poke at people. That's why you never sit in the front at a comedy show, because they will use you as ammo. And people just get so offended. I'm going on a tangent. Let's talk about baseballs. In the game of basketball, players attempt to distract opponents with bizarre, over-the-top psych out.
I hear your sister's going out with Squeak.
Many of these were improvised by Parker and Stone on set, leading to some of the film's funniest moments. The concept of psych outs was inspired by the hacking and trash talking culture of playground basketball. There's so many moments where they just oh, I got one of what's their names, pubes in my mouth, and you gotta watch the scene before it, obviously, to understand the context. And he's not even doing it as like a psych out, but it's just like literal.
Oh, one of Brittany's mom's pubic hairs. Oh God!
If you haven't seen this movie, you need to go watch this movie. It's so much fun. And as guesstimated, yeah, I mean, I would assume that those two probably improvised so much on this. Universal at 98, I mean, where they were probably making movies like Liar Liar, and at that point Adam Sandler went to Sony because I think 98, 99 was Big Daddy. So Universal is probably, let's see what movies Universal was up to. They were making movies like Man on the Moon, Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, The Lost World, Jurassic Park. Although Half Baked is in that. They were making those type of movies around this time, and like I love those movies, don't get me wrong, but they weren't really diving too hard in that time frame towards the end of the 90s. They weren't really diving into comedy movies as much as they were in like the early 90s. BASEketball was a box office disappointment, grossing only about $7 million against a $23 million budget. However, it has since developed a cult following, particularly among fans of Parker and Stone, who appreciate its mix of crude humor and satirical commentary on sports culture.
I swear you guys rip on me 13 or 14 more times, I'm out of here.
I feel like movies like, like Billy Madison, Happy Gilmore, I think that those made money at the box office, but has since grown throughout the years. A great example of this would be Kevin Smith's movies, Mallrats. I mean, the movie was made on a $6 million budget. It made like $2 million. It made like nothing in the box office. However, that movie, people consider it like his best movie. It's found a home on home video. And let's keep in mind, especially back then when theatrical was very common, you make a movie, it would go on theatrical. Not like what it is today where it's like you make a movie and it may go on Netflix if you filmed with the right camera. Because all the movies from the 70s and 80s were filmed with the right camera. Get the out of here with that. Anyway, so you would have a movie, it would go theatrical, and being theatrical, it was a big promotion for like your home video release, because back then you had VHS and Laserdisc made an attempt, but and even so, like it wasn't like because back then if you saw a movie that was like in the Walmart $5 bin, it's like, oh, this probably isn't a good movie. But nowadays, like that's pretty normal. You actually may find a better movie than what studios are making in that Walmart $5 bin nowadays. Jenny McCarthy, who plays Yvette Denslow, filmed several scenes that were ultimately cut from the final movie. One particularly risque scene was removed to avoid an NC-17 rating. Despite her limited screen time, McCarthy's exaggerated comedic performance became memorable for fans of the film. Jenny McCarthy, what was she on, like MTV Singled Out and then Singled Out? Though BASEketball was not a commercial success, it has become a cult classic over the years. Its unique blend of Zucker's slapstick humor and Parker and Stone's irreverent comedy created a film that resonated with fans of edgy, absurd humor. The movie is often praised for its clever parody of sports culture, its ridiculous yet oddly compelling depiction of basketball as a sport, and the comedic chemistry between Parker and Stone. For fans of 90s comedies, BASEketball remains a nostalgic, quotable favorite. It sure is quotable, Jan. Cock. Matt Stone and Trey Parker, they've been so focused on the South Park side of things. They've done their Book of Mormon play, done documentaries. They just opened up that restaurant back in Colorado. So I personally have missed a Matt Stone, Trey Parker live action film, and they are currently in post-production on a new one with what's his name? Who's the rapper? Kendrick Lamar. He is the star of their next live action movie that is supposed to come out, I believe, next year. Looking forward to that. So that's it for today. That was yapping about BASEketball. I would love to cover Orgasmo, but I know that I just wouldn't be able to show anything. It'd be the 90% of the video would just be blurry. But I will talk about Cannibal the musical once it comes out. And I'm not big on musicals. I like La La Land, Grease, Wizard of Oz, the classics. You know. But Cannibal the musical is such a fun movie, and also just the respect behind it and how it was made and how they made it like just such DIY, which I am so for doing. So that's it. That's it for now.